What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're continuing the Toronto Maple Leaf 2023-2024 player previews, and this one's going to be on defenseman John Klingberg wearing number 3. Is that a lucky number? I don't know. There's been a few guys wore that number before that might have not been so lucky, but if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm trying to make this my full-time gig. I want to make content full-time. I love talking to you guys. So liking and subscribing is completely free. And I know a ton of you guys are watching right now aren't subscribed. I can see the numbers, so please do so. Also, I mentioned it in my last video. This video is sponsored by Manscaped. We'll get to that in a little bit. But if you use code APH at Manscaped, you get 20% off and free shipping. We'll get to that in a little bit later. But like I mentioned, we're continuing the player previews, and this one is one that I knew I wanted to make early on because I don't know how things are going to change in the offseason, but I want to give you guys my true thoughts right now. And again, the Leafs could change their blue line a little bit, but if I was to tell you guys what I thought the biggest risk that the Maple Leafs took this offseason, it would be John Klingberg. And not because I don't think he's a good player, but it's the money versus what he's done recently. And the Leafs signed him to a $4.1 million contract, which we will look at in a second. But this is a big, it's 4.150, I believe. But that's besides the point. It's in the $4 million range. It's a huge risk. And the first thing I could think of when I looked at John Klingberg was Tyson Barrie 2.0. Could this situation be where the Maple Leafs bring in a guy that doesn't actually pan out to be what we need him to be? Now, don't get me wrong. John Klingberg is offensively gifted, and he has the potential to do better things with a better team. But we've seen over the last couple of years, he's kind of lost his way a little bit, and these are some of the numbers we're going to look into in a little bit with Money Puck. But John Klingberg, like I said, $4.15 million with the Maple Leafs, and it's a one-year deal, so the risk isn't too crazy. But as you can see, there's a modified no-trade clause that includes a 10-team no-trade list, which is kind of standard. But you can see in years previous, he's signed some pretty decent contracts, obviously the big one being with Jim Nill and the Dallas Stars. And then, again, we got a one-year deal for $7 million with the Anaheim Ducks. If we're looking at his numbers over his career, the guy has been gifted when it comes to putting up points as an offensive defenseman. He's, had over 50-point seasons. He had nearly a 70-point season in shortened in shortened COVID years. He had a lot of points. God, knock on wood, don't talk about COVID. And then looking at the playoffs, look at this run for the Stars where he had 21 points in 26 games played. This guy knows how to put up numbers. With the Wild this previous year after he got traded, 9 points in 17 games and 4 points in 4 games, as the Wild obviously didn't do so well there. But with Anaheim, he had 24 points in 50 games. He was doing okay with a bad team, but as you can see, when he got to a better team, his numbers started to get a little bit better. But the one thing I wanted to bring up is the reason why he's on a one-year deal, and the reason why he was on a one-year deal with Anaheim. Dallas was prepared to extend him once again into his late 30s. I believe he's 31 right now. I'll have to double check. Yeah, he's 31 years old. Correct. He's born in 92. But the thing is he was going to be extended into his late 30s. He was going to be getting a pretty significant contract from the Dallas Stars. But it didn't work out because he wanted a ton of money, and his agent might have screwed him in that sense, but his agent definitely was negotiating for a long-term deal for a bunch of money. But again, they might have screwed themselves there. Taking a quick break to let you guys know about the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. Hockey season is coming up, and we all know it's important to stay fresh and protected on and off the ice. And well, Manscaped is here to help us do that. I've got the Performance Package 4.0 with me. I've even got my travel bag, and it's perfect for the dressing room. Inside holds the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to help reduce accidents down there using its advanced skin-safe technology. It's also waterproof and has an LED spotlight for a more precise shave. Next up is a game changer, and that is the Weed Whacker Nose Hair Trimmer. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and has proprietary skin-safe technology. That's going to help nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate nose holes. You're also getting the Crop Preserver below the waist deodorant and Crop Reviver below the waist toner. And like I mentioned earlier, Manscaped threw in 2 free gifts with the Performance Package 4.0. That is the Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Get 20% off and free shipping with my code APH at manscaped.com. That's APH for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Now back to the video. There was rumors that Klingberg and his agent wanted a 7 or 8 year deal in the $7 to $8 million range. And again, it could have been more, it could have been a little bit less, but it was going to be a massive extension with the Dallas Stars. And they felt like he was asking for a little bit too much money. And that's what kind of screwed him. And his play dropped off a little bit. And now he's on these 1 year deals. Now, the situation with Toronto could be really good for the Maple Leafs. And the reason I'm saying that is because the Maple Leafs have an opportunity to unlock something that John Klingberg hasn't had in a little while. And that's him playing with a dynamite team. Like you've seen with the Minnesota Wild, they unlocked a little bit of, the way that he can put up points. But they might unlock something that he's been missing for a little while. And that's having guys that he can move the puck to and get good scoring opportunities that could help him put up big numbers. And if Leaf fans should be happy about one thing, is that John Klingberg, if he puts up a lot of numbers this year, that's obviously good for the team. And he wants to put up big numbers because he wants to get into that, 3 to 4 to maybe even 5 year deal range going into next season when the cap goes up. Players are going to be getting paid more and more money. But if Klingberg comes in and doesn't play well again with a team like Toronto where he's best suited because it's all offense, then his chances of getting another big contract in the NHL are going down by the second. So he needs to have a big year this year. And like I said, that's big for the Maple Leafs because they need him too. So one thing I wanted to show you guys was Klingberg's numbers over the years, but specifically the previous season. So the 2022 season obviously is 2022 into 2023 because that's when the year started. What I want to show you guys is in 67 games played, I want to go all the way over to his giveaways and takeaways and stuff like that. I need to find it over here. I think, where is it? Of course, here we go. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So in 2022, he had 22 takeaways, which is good because he's a defenseman. 22 isn't great as a defenseman, but he's an offensive style guy. But this is where it gets concerning. 46 giveaways and 24 of them were in the defensive zone. That's more defensive zone giveaways than his total takeaways, which is the next thing that needs to be mentioned here. The reason why I'm talking to you guys about him being a massive risk is because John Klingberg is exactly that. He's a risky player. He goes up, he dishes the puck out, and if it doesn't work out, he's not defensively gifted to get back and play that solid defensive style that we're accustomed to seeing in guys like a TJ Brody or formerly, a Jake Muzzin when he was healthy. And again, I just wish that guy was healthy, but he's not. But you've seen a guy like Muzzin who was a guy that could dish the puck out, he could score, and he was really good at playing defense, and he was physical. He played a little bit of everything. Whereas John Klingberg, he gives away the puck and it's like, oh no, like this is not going to go well. And he might be worse than Tyson Barrie at that, which is very concerning. So the Maple Leafs are going to have to be very careful with who he plays with this year. And that's the next thing that I wanted to bring up was where he could play in the Maple Leaf system. If you want to go all offense and you put him with Morgan Rielly, you're just asking for a nightmare. I think Rielly and Brody will potentially stay together, but I'm almost wondering if Jake McCabe ends up coming up to the first pairing and the Maple Leafs use TJ Brody on the left side playing with John Klingberg. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you're trying to shelter your minutes in the best way possible and have, two pairings that can really go out there and do good things, then you need to have John Klingberg playing a little bit more sheltered. Or, and people might think I'm crazy for this, I'm wondering if the Maple Leafs are even considering putting John Klingberg with Mark Giordano. And I know people are going to be scratching their heads. Why are you paying a $4 million guy to play with Gio? I don't know if the Maple Leafs are going to try to mix their lines up this year to make sure, okay, Riley and McCabe or Riley and Brody are going to get the heavy minutes. They're going to play a lot because they're the best ones here. We need them to play a lot. And then they might use a McCabe and Liljegren as like a defensive shutdown pairing maybe, and then have Gio and Klingberg in there for the offense and kind of mix those lines up. I don't know. I think the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm looking at these D pairings and thinking, where are the Leafs shutdown pairing? Like, what pairing here is the guys that are going to play against the defensive matchups? Oh, Riley and Brody, or Riley and McCabe. Yeah, whatever. No, this is the problem with Morgan Riley. Riley needs that space. Riley needs the offensive space. Look at what he did in the playoffs last year. He wasn't always getting that hard matchup. He was going out there and scoring a bunch of points because he was given space. And the Maple Leafs have to do that again this season to unlock Riley's full potential and that full contract at $7.5 million. So it's very puzzling. I think the Leafs still need another defenseman, but that will require a pretty substantial trade. And this is the reason why I told people, don't be so quick to trade TJ Brody. Unless you're getting an upgrade and a significant one, you can't lose a guy that's probably going to have to help babysit a guy like John Klingberg in the defensive zone. So again, I like Klingberg. I think it was a good ad at $4.15 million for 1 year. You could trade him if you have to. If, oh, this guy's bad, you could trade him. It's not the worst thing in the world. But there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows with this guy. So if I was going to say impress or regress in this situation, I think he's going to impress on the offensive side. I think his numbers are going to go up. But I think he's going to regress in terms of his defensive play. I think it's going to get even worse. And I know people are probably like shedding tears hearing that because the Maple Leafs need to play better defense. But his numbers are going to impress. His defensive zone is going to regress because I think that's all he's got now. He's got to just put up a ton of points to show he's still worth it. Kind of like Erik Karlsson. Karlsson knew he needed to get out of San Jose. What did he do? Forget defense. I'm going all out offense because I need to show that I can get traded to a contender and play with good players. John Klingberg's about to do the same thing with the Maple Leafs. So if you guys are new here, make sure to sound off in the comments about John Klingberg. Again, this was probably a pretty long video, so I do apologize unless you like that kind of thing. But yeah, liking and subscribing helps me the most. I'd really appreciate it. Make sure to use my code APH at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. I love and appreciate you guys as always, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.